Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, the school shooting in Connecticut has prompted San Diego Mayor Bob Filner to bring together school and law enforcement officials here to take another look at how the county handles school safety and treats people with mental illness. And in the years since 2 taxi drivers in the San Diego region were killed in robberies, have any safety improvements been made? We'll have a report.
And in the wake of Friday's school massacre, the president, senators, and even a few national gun right activists say it's time to re-examine the nation's gun laws. We'll find out where we stand now and what Senator Feinstein wants changed. Then San Diego's ACLU promotes a Latino woman to one of its top positions. We'll talk with her about her new role. I'm Peggy Pico. Evening Edition starts now.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Irwin Jacobs and by
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Anderson in for Dwayne Brown. The first 2 6-year-old victims of the school gunman were buried today in Newtown. The grieving Connecticut town faces 10 more days of funerals. Today, state police say they are working with federal and local officials to get answers for the families of the victims in Friday's massacre.
The answers are for the poor victims, the families, the people of Connecticut, that need to know and see a clear picture as to exactly what happened here. As I said many times, there are many people, including first responders, including town residents, including people right in this audience, that have broken hearts over this. And we're going to do everything that it takes to ensure that we uncover every bit of evidence, that we examine every facet of it, that we conduct as many interviews with everyone that we need to do to paint a clear picture as to exactly how and why this tragedy occurred.
One of the victims in the Connecticut school shooting has ties to San Diego. A blog put together by 6-year-old Avriel Richmond's parents indicate the family used to live in San Diego. It's not known how long ago that was. Mayor Bob Filner gathered together police officers, San Diego Unified School Board members, the superintendent, and mental health experts today. The meeting meant to reassure the public that San Diego would be ready if a school shooting scenario were to ever happen here again.
We've been in contact with the officers in Connecticut, those on the ground level, and we recognize now that the plans that we have in place worked for that school, and that there would have been more lives lost had those plans not already existed, and we have those same plans in place.
Little John says no plan is a guarantee. Still, he says it's critical that teachers and staff train and do drills to ensure they know how to react in an emergency. But the meeting also emphasized that treating people with mental illness before the situation escalates is also important.
Whether it was a school shooting, a shooting in a mall, or a shooting at a theater, in most cases, if not all cases, somebody had information ahead of time that potentially could have predicted this type of activity. So we're really here today to reach out to the public and ask for your help. And your help is, if you see someone, or know someone, or hear something, say something to somebody.
San Diego County has a 24-hour hotline for anyone needing help with dealing with a mental health crisis. That number is 1-888-724-7240. The police department is also setting up live streaming from schools to police cars for added monitoring. Following Friday's school shooting, the message from President Barack Obama is it's time to put politics aside to take meaningful action on our nation's gun laws. Peggy Pico takes a closer look at where we stand now and what may change.
On Sunday, Senator Dianne Feinstein told NBC's Meet the Press she will introduce a bill to ban assault weapons.
I'm going to introduce in the Senate, and the same bill will be introduced in the House, a bill to ban assault weapons. It will ban the sale, the transfer, the importation, and the possession, not retroactively, but prospectively. And it will ban the same for big clips, drums, or strips of more than 10 bullets. So there will be a bill.
Joining me to talk about gun policy is Charlie Bleck, president of the Orange County chapter of the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence. Charlie, thank you for joining us today. You got involved in this after your son was shot. You got involved in gun policy. What happened?
Unfortunately, he was walking a date home, and three 15-year-olds with a junk gun, a Saturday night special, committed a double homicide that night. They killed a Marine Corps veteran and father of two, and then they shot my son and murdered him. It's been almost 2 decades now, but it's something that we just have to do to honor his memory.
And you're an attorney and started fighting, becoming very active in gun policy.
I'm very fortunate. My wife was a school nurse in one of her former lives, and we take a very positive attitude towards this with a public health approach. And just reducing gun violence, you have to discuss the gun.
Absolutely. Well, following this recent shooting and other recent massacres, gun right advocates have been conspicuously absent in the media. Our repeated requests to talk with national and local gun right advocates have been declined repeatedly. But Senator Joe Manchin, a lifelong member of the National Rifle Association, told MSNBC it's time to discuss gun policy.
I've never had more than 3 shells in a clip. Sometimes you don't get more than 1 shot anyway to deer. You know, just common sense. It's time to move beyond rhetoric. We need to sit down and have a common sense discussion and move in a reasonable way.
So he's talking about it's time to sit down and at least discuss this. And again, a big national NRA advocate for years and years. How do California laws right now compare to, let's say, Connecticut and several other states?
Well, California has an excellent set of gun laws that I would love to see our federal Congress adopt. In particular, there's 2 items. Number one, we don't need large capacity magazines. And magazines, I think of Sports Illustrated or Sunset. Bullet loaders. That young man who walked into the Aurora, Colorado theater had a 100-round magazine. When we tolerate 30 or 50 or 100 rounds, we're simply sanctioning the hunting of other human beings. We can do something about that. And Senator Feinstein's bill in '94 actually limited the size of magazines to 10 rounds. The other thing is, in California, every gun sale, whether it's private party, gun show, or through a licensed dealer, must have a background check and a waiting period. 4 out of 10 sales do not have any background checks at all. Felons, adjudicated mentally ill, domestic abusers, 4 out of 10 transactions, they don't care. We've got to close that federal loophole.
That said, the number of federal background checks for gun buyers has actually doubled in the past 10 years, according to the National Instant Check System, which tracks background checks. It doesn't actually track the firearm sales. The 8.5 million background checks in 2002 rose to 16.8 million in 2012. In California, that number jumped from more than 794,000 to more than 981,000 during that same decade time span. I believe there's 300 million guns in the U.S. right now, or thereabout. These loopholes, let's talk about that. Would some of these guns be controlled, and some of the ammunition, if we could close up these loopholes?
Absolutely. Our concept is keeping dangerous weapons out of dangerous hands. The bottom line is, and it's multifaceted, but we need to have better information into these background checks for the mentally adjudicated, the ill folks. We need to be able, even with the Brady background, we have the gun show and the private party loopholes. 40% of our gun transactions do not have any background checks at all. The NRA's philosophy of any gun, any time, any person for any reason is just simply wrong, and that's why they duck coming on now, is that they simply cannot explain that issue.
Let's talk about this, the Brady campaign, and as far as what the lobbying is for. This is not a discussion, I understand, about removing the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. What has it moved on to now as far as the Brady campaign is concerned?
Exactly what I just said. We're eliminating dangerous weapons in dangerous hands. We need to reduce the lethalness of this situation. Now, the reason we've had an opportunity to move on is that there were 2 United States Supreme Court decisions, Heller and McDonald, that basically said there is a constitutional right to bear arms. A person can have a gun in their home for self-protection. So these politicians who used to pompously announce, well, I believe in the Second Amendment, and think that dismisses the conversation, can no longer rely on that. We have to talk about things that will reduce the lethalness. People don't need to walk in our shoes. They just don't. When we heard the news on Friday, as all these other tragedies, you go numb.
Absolutely numb and sadness for all of us. Well, we are out of time. Charlie Bleck with the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence. Thank you for talking to us, and people can hear a lot more of what you have to say on our website.
Thank you for the opportunity.
A California state senator hopes to strengthen the state's restrictions on gun ownership. Leland Yee is pushing for tougher background checks, mental health evaluations, and limits on the amount of ammunition that can be purchased, among other things. Drunk driving fatalities typically rise during the Christmas holidays. The San Diego County Probation Department is keeping close tabs on some DUI offenders to make sure they don't drive drunk again. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg joins me from the newsroom to talk about the program. Kenny, what's it all about?
Well, the County Probation Department monitors about 750 people who have had either 4 or more drunk driving arrests or have seriously hurt somebody in a drunk driving crash. They do a series of actions against these people. They can check their homes or their apartments anytime they like. They can check them for alcohol intake. And for about 10% of these people, they give them these round-the-clock monitoring devices that fit on their ankle that can tell County Probation Department whether they're drinking any alcohol at all.
Well, it sounds like they're doing a lot, but why is the probation department stepping up efforts during the holidays?
Well, that's because during the Christmas holidays, DUI arrests and fatalities usually peak for the year. There's about 25% more DUI fatalities during the Christmas holidays as compared to any other part of the year.
And of course, we're all interested in results. What kind of results have they seen with this monitoring program?
Well, of the 750 people they've monitored in the past year, only about 1% of them have had another DUI incident over this past year. So the monitoring program is working.
KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg. Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.
A Southern California woman has died from the West Nile virus after falling ill several weeks ago. Health officials say it's the first Orange County death from the mosquito-borne virus since 2008. A Nuclear Regulatory Commission report says the Japanese company that made San Onofre's troubled steam generators may be trying to fix the wrong size steam pipes. Steam leaks prompted the nuclear plant's shutdown almost a year ago. More than 100 senior citizens got special care packages for the holidays today, thanks to an effort organized by the Encinitas-based Community Resource Center. Hundreds of baskets were passed out this past weekend at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, but the gifts given out today were delivered. The holiday care packages are designed to spread a bit of the holiday spirit to those who live on tight budgets.
The basket has a turkey or chicken, this year's chicken. They get a bag of goodies, and they get a box of food.
Dave Kennan gets a little extra pride from helping deliver the baskets just before Christmas. He and partner Jim Gwinner are members of the Sheriff Department's Senior Volunteer Patrol. They delivered 50 care packages.
Each red sack has a little different number of goods in it. This one has a photo album.
The bags and boxes are hand-delivered. It's a ray of sunshine for Encinitas resident Robert Innes. He lives on a fixed income, and that doesn't leave much room for discretionary spending.
I can share it with my family, which is even nicer. Sometimes it's good that you can give a little bit, you know. And this gives you the opportunity to give to my children, and, you know, so it's nice.
The gifts were handed out as part of the You Are Not Alone program. It provides daily telephone checks and weekly visits for retirement age and disabled people who live by themselves. Driving a taxi is a notoriously dangerous profession. It's been a little over a year since 2 taxi drivers in the San Diego region were killed in robberies. Yet in that time, progress on safety improvements for cabs has stalled. KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr looks at why and what's happening now.
Savitar Saho's life changed forever at 2:20 a.m. on September 29, 2011. A knock on the door in the middle of the night. San Diego police officers standing on the other side. Savitar knew they were waiting to tell her something she didn't want to hear.
I was home, my mom was home, the only person not home is my dad. Immediately I knew something had happened. But, it's, to think that somebody had murdered my dad, no.
Savitar's dad was 68-year-old Mir Sadat Saho. He'd been a taxi driver in San Diego for nearly 20 years. Hours before that knock on the door, Saho had been shot and killed during a robbery in his cab in La Jolla. Bullets took the life of a man who'd studied at the Sorbonne in Paris, served as the chair of Afghanistan's Federal Reserve, and whose first cab in America bore the name of his youngest child, Savitar. Understandably, Savitar says the past year has been horrible for her family. She says she can't sleep and cried for months on end. But now she's channeling anger and grief into a cause, protecting cab drivers. And she's focusing her efforts on legislation that would require taxis to have video cameras installed.
There's so many questions left unanswered, and we still don't have the answers. And that is what really pushed me towards advocating for cameras, because number one, we want safety out there for drivers, and number two, God forbid, if anything ever happens, we want to make sure somehow the families and the public know what happened, at least to some extent.
Chances are good a taxi driver will have a dangerous encounter at some point. The U.S. Department of Labor says taxi drivers are 60 times more likely than other workers to be murdered on the job. San Diego's City Councilwoman Marty Emerald knows it's a risky occupation. Emerald served on the Metropolitan Transit System's Taxi Advisory Board. She was waiting for state legislation requiring cameras in cabs to go forward, but that appears to be stalled. So Emerald says she and MTS will move on the local level.
My primary goal, and I know the goal of our Taxi Advisory Committee, is to protect drivers. They are out there, they are vulnerable, I would imagine they're unarmed, and they wind up becoming prey to people who would rob them, beat them, kill them.
Emerald says there are issues to be worked out. For instance, would the cameras record audio as well as video? Drivers in Los Angeles and San Francisco opposed the state legislation because they were afraid cameras would be used to monitor drivers' performance and not just for safety reasons. Locally, taxi owners say they support putting cameras in cabs. They're just waiting for some rules to be written before they begin installations. The United Taxi Workers of San Diego, which represents drivers, also supports cameras in cabs. San Diego taxi driver Abdul Hamid Somo says something needs to be done to make his job safer. He's been robbed at least 3 times, including a robbery that left him with a stab wound in his hand.
I fight with him normally. He hit me by knife in here, in the hand. So then he ran away. I follow him. Then the officer come, they captured him.
But Somo still bears the scar from that run-in. And in a job that requires him and other drivers to interact with strangers on a daily basis, he's hoping something can be done to make him a little safer. Savitar Saho says she'll keep working to make sure it does.
We don't want this to ever happen to any other family. I don't want any daughter out there to ever wake up to a phone call or a knock on the door from the police saying, so sorry, your dad is no longer alive. We don't want that to happen.
Katie Orr, KPBS News.
San Diego police are still investigating several armed taxi robberies that took place in Pacific Beach last month. San Diego's chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union has promoted a Latina to its top post. Peggy Pico talks with the ACLU's new associate director.
The results of our recent election seem to demonstrate the Latina voice and vote is rising in our community. In recognition of this trend, my guest, Norma Chavez Peterson, has become San Diego's ACLU Associate Director. Norma, welcome to Evening Edition.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about how the ACLU has focused on Latino communities or battles here in San Diego over the past 25 years.
Well, we will be celebrating our 25th anniversary this coming year, and I think our founder, Helen Marston, founder of San Diego ACLU, began most of her focus around farm worker rights in the Imperial Valley. So that was our initial work. Over the last 25 years, we have played a major role around Latino issues, specifically around Escondido. They passed an anti-immigrant rental ordinance in 2006, where if somebody looked like me, a landlord could ask for your immigration status. We took that to the courts, and we were able to, to not have that go into effect. And we've since really been focused around the question around local law enforcement and their collaboration with immigration as it pertains to not just checkpoints, but in general kind of practice.
So definitely going after some of those legal issues, but also you headed out a major, get out the vote campaign that focused on Latino voters in Escondido in the November election. What'd you do with that?
Well, our campaign was called Nuestro Voto, Nuestro Futuro, or Our Vote, Our Future. And really what we did is we began in Escondido recognizing that there was a real need for civic participation and voter education in the Latino community. Latinos are 49% of the population, but only make up about 14% of the electorate and have very low voter participation.
Right, 10%, I believe, in the primary election.
10% in the primary. So we began with an effort to, contact voters one-on-one, to have those conversations, to really break down for folks, number one, how does voting affect my life? What are the issues that are on this November's ballot that impact my quality of life? And those were the kinds of conversations we were having.
What's holding them back? So you've got them to register a little bit more, but certainly the voter turnout is so low. So what is there fear? What's sort of culturally holding back Latino voters from voting?
Well, I think, number one, we have made major progress. So I think we've seen nationally and even in this county that Latinos are turning out to vote in record numbers, and we saw it across the country. I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and I think this crosses, lots of cultural lines, but the reality is that all voters need to make the connection between how does my vote matter? Does it really matter? And I think the best way to do that is talking to people, educating them about what's at stake, and making those connections. And so I think we've made great strides since Prop 187. It's been quite some time that we've seen this awakening of the sleeping giant, as they used to say.
And it's not just, obviously, the ACLU isn't just a Latino-based or focused organization. What other outreaches or what other things are you doing here in San Diego as far as like foreign language speakers or things like that you're trying to?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, ACLU, obviously, we're about protecting all people under the law. And so our issues are not just Latino issues. I mean, it's really about advancing and protecting civil liberties and civil rights. Latinos, given that we're such a large percentage of the population, obviously become really important, but so do any other vulnerable communities. And so I think some of the other issues that we work on at our local ACLU are issues around criminal justice reform, which obviously have huge impacts, not just to the Latino community, but African American community, as well as issues around equality, marriage equality, right? As a woman, issues around reproductive access and reproductive rights. So there's a lot of issues that we work on that are not Latino-specific issues. They're just really about advancing the values of fairness and equity.
What would you like to see if you could rattle off maybe your top three the ACLU kind of tackle or focus on in this coming year?
Well, I think one thing is we've seen the national conversation begin to move around comprehensive immigration reform. I think given that we're at the border, we're a border affiliate, I think playing an important role in making sure that we have a voice in immigration reform, as well as issues around educational equity.
All right, we are out of time. Norma Chavez Peterson, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
I'm Margaret Warner. On the next news hour, the aftermath of the mass shooting in Connecticut, plus a politician who is both loved and loathed in India. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
Checking in on the weather forecast, strong winds and rough seas will make for hazardous conditions for small craft on the coastal waters. The Weather Service says we can expect rain through Tuesday night. Inland temperatures will be just a bit colder than the coast. Heavier downpours are likely tonight through Tuesday because of a strong cold front, and the National Weather Service is warning of a wind advisory for the deserts and desert slopes of San Diego mountains from noon Tuesday through midnight on Tuesday. Recapping tonight's top stories, Mayor Bob Filner gathered together police officers, San Diego Unified School Board members, the superintendent, and mental health experts today. The meeting meant to reassure the public that San Diego would be ready if a school shooting scenario were to ever happen here again. San Diego County has a 24-hour hotline for anyone needing help dealing with a mental health crisis. That number 1-888-724-7240. One of the victims in the Connecticut school shooting has ties to San Diego. A blog put together by 6-year-old Avielle Richmond's parents indicate the family used to live in San Diego. It's not known when they moved to Newtown. A California lawmaker will introduce gun control legislation aimed at strengthening the state's gun restrictions. State Senator Leland Yee is pushing for tougher background checks, among other things. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us and have a great evening.